mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 5 of Hulu's Only Murders in the Building, entitled The Tell. You know, when I started watching this episode, actually, even before I started watching it, when I saw the episode title, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk mad shit on my video. Because I thought The Tell, the episode title, was going to refer to the guy that we saw in the passages that sneezed. And I thought they were referring to, like, that being his tell. Like, oh, how are we going to know who did this? Oh, we got to look for somebody with some allergies. So I thought, oh, man, I fucking nailed it. And then, of course, it turns out it's not about that. It's about Oliver being able to read people and saying that everyone always has a tell. But this episode, I loved this episode. I thought this episode, even though it didn't give us a ton of information as far as like who could be the murderer, it clearly pointed us in the direction of Alice. But I thought this episode was hilarious, man. Like, I thought Martin Short crushed this episode. I thought there were so many funny moments. Like, this is probably one of my favorite episodes just because I already find the show enjoyable just based on the look of it, the feel of it, the humor, the concept, the rapport of the cast. I think it's pretty great in every way, but this episode really was just funny as fuck to me. I don't really know how else to put it. I love this episode. But we'll talk about my favorite moments at the end. So I'm going to start the same way I always do. Start and finish the same way I always do with what did we learn? So this week we learned that Jane told Charles that the killer, Charles said that the killer composed the crime scene. And she's like, look at the words you use. You said composed. Look for somebody who's like an artist or something of that nature. And she goes, has anybody entered your life recently? And of course he doesn't know. At that point, I immediately ruled out Alice. Because the show was basically like, okay, look at Alice as the person. Because they said, have you had any artists come into your life recently? I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty obvious. So it must not be Alice. And then immediately they like smash cut to like Alice doing something. I'm like, okay, they're laying it on really thick that we're supposed to look at this as like the Alice might have done it episode. So I immediately dismissed Alice. I'm still in a place where I have dismissed Alice. I no longer believe that Alice is a suspect, but I think whoever did it is probably affiliated with Alice. Maybe a boyfriend or a husband, something like that. And she's manipulating Mabel with their relationship or whatever. But I do still think Alice is involved, and that it has something to do with this painting. But now I'm starting to wonder if Alice is if the killer is someone we've even met before. Like, it might be somebody new. So what else did we learn? We learned that there are blood or ketchup stained matches that were in Mabel's like a grate that's in her room, and they are from a place called the Pickle Diner, which is the diner that Bunny was at. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? Where she was talking to that waiter Ivan. She gave him a ton of money. He mentioned that she was there with somebody the day before and he was off. So that whole place, that was the Pickle Diner. Oliver goes there and he talks to Ivan, and I also at this point ruled out Ivan as a suspect because Ivan comes in and slides the money back under Bunny's door, like he's returning the money. And I'm like, there's no way Ivan's the killer because, like, one, if he killed her, he would know there's no point in returning the money. But two, you'd have to be the dumbest killer in the world to return an envelope packed full of money with your name on it to the victim's house. So, like, I completely ruled out Ivan as a potential killer. But Oliver looked at the videotape that they had of the security footage, and we don't see the person, but we do see that person grabs some matches. And I also think that person has the same kind of like build and appearance as the person who was going through the passageway. So I think that's probably the killer, whoever that was that Bunny was meeting with. But we still don't know who that is. I think maybe, next week or in coming weeks, we might want to look for somebody who would be using matches, a smoker, an arsonist, I don't know, somebody like that. But I mentioned we need to take into account that this person was wearing kind of like rubber gloves and almost like a hazmat suit when they did it. This person sneezes, and this person apparently is a smoker. So we're collecting clues on who this might be. I'll say up front, I'm gonna be irritated if it's somebody, if there's no way I could have guessed it, or if it's somebody I would never know. I'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I'm concerned that's gonna happen again. Let's see, what else did we learn? We learned that Alice lies a lot. I love the Son of Sam game that we saw Oliver playing throughout the episode. I particularly loved when he played it in present day and they had the outfits kind of changing when they would cut. Like they would have everybody dressed in 70s clothes. And then when someone said something, I believe it was Alice, they kind of like brought everyone out of it. They were back in their regular clothes again. I liked how they shot that and how that looked. I thought that was pretty cool. But she lays this guilt trip on Oliver after he accuses her of being the son of Sam, and then also of, he doesn't accuse her of killing Bunny, but he accuses her of lying about a lot of things and kind of paints her as a suspect. And she admits that she lies about stuff for the reasons you guys saw in the episode. And she lays this guilt trip on Oliver, and Oliver looks pretty bad. But then later we do see the Son of Sam card in Alice's purse. And it makes me, that's why I still feel like I'm ruling out Alice as the killer, but I'm not ruling out Alice as being involved. So, let's see. Oh, and also with that scene too, what bothered me about that scene is the only thing that bothered me in this episode is that if Alice didn't have the Son of Sam card and she gives it back to Oliver and it's not that card, the next natural step is Mabel going, well, I don't have it either. Or, well, who has the Son of Sam? You know, something. But they cut from that to make it so that they could hit us with the surprise at the end with the card being in Alice's purse. So, like, in reality, whoever had that card would have been sussed out in that moment at the game, but they decided not to do that for whatever reason. Well, but so they could hit us with that reveal at the end, but not really realistic. Let's see, I talked about Ivan already. And lastly, we learned that Teddy could possibly be Will's father, Will being Oliver's son. He did some DNA thing and found out that half is his mother and then half is Greek. And Oliver's holding like Greek yogurt and shit like that has Demas on it. And he thinks back and we see a shot of Oliver saying like, oh, I can tell everybody secrets. You got any more secrets? And then him and Oliver's wife exchange glances. So I personally don't know necessarily that we are going to find out that Teddy had a relationship with Oliver's wife and that Will is their kid. That's what we're meant to believe right now, of course. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I don't know. But what I do want to know and what I am going to pose as a question is what bearing would that have on this whole situation? That's a weird thing to kind of bring in episode 5 out of, I don't know, we'll say 8. I don't know how many there is, but I should know. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's my job because I'm not, this isn't my 9 to 5 here. I would like it to be. So if you want to share these videos to your social media, feel free. But it's not my job to, but I do kind of pride myself in always knowing where I'm at in the season. And you can't know that unless you know the number of episodes. But let's say it's 8 episodes. In episode 5, to introduce Oliver might not be his dad's storyline. Like I don't know. I'm curious how that's going to tie in, but I have faith in the show that it will. So that's pretty exciting as well. So 9 minutes in, I'm going to wrap up, but I do want to wrap up with some of the things that I loved about this episode and then recap. I'm going to recap real quick. We want to know, well, our suspect we know wore, like I said, hazmat kind of suit and like leather, rubber. I might have said leather the first time. Rubber gloves and boots when they killed Bunny. It appears to be a man who sneezes or coughs. I don't know what that was. That we saw in the passageways. We know that person probably smokes because they got matches. And yeah, there's a mystery with Teddy and whether or not he had an affair with Oliver's wife. And what is Alice's deal? She's had the Son of Sam card. I feel like she's working with whoever this guy is, but we don't know who it is yet. So that's what I think we learned this week. Now, wrapping up with my thoughts, the things that I really enjoyed. I thought the Charles-Jane dynamic was hilarious in this episode. I loved their conversations, the conversation at the jail and the conversation on the phone. I thought Jane was hilarious. I thought that was, both of those conversations were great to me. I loved when she called I love when she called Nina the Lululemon Gremlin. I don't know who wrote that, but that was really creative. I've never heard anything like that. I thought that was really funny. I like the scene in the where were they at? Were they at the Pickle Diner? They might have been at the Pickle Diner. And Mabel's talking about the secret passages. She keeps whispering it like the secret passages. It's like, what? She's like, the fucking secret passages. I love that. And then the people next to them hear it. I thought that was cool. I like how Charles was laying out what Jane said to him. And he's like, oh, we had it could be an artist or somebody. Have we had anybody that's trying to come into our lives lately? And then Mabel's like typing on her phone and she's like, this isn't that. This is just a friend who's an artist. Like, I love that. Probably my second favorite part of the episode is when Mabel reveals that she's been out on dates with Alice. And Charles like comes to this realization that she's, into women. And Oliver looks at her and was like, look at the wheels slowly turning. I thought that was great. I love when he asked if he could wear what he was wearing to the party. And Oliver said, do you think the theme of the party is open casket funeral? I love that. My third favorite line, probably of the episode is and it's a quick one that you might miss it, but it's at the party. And Mabel tells Oliver and Charles, I believe, to go to the bar. She's like, go to the bar. It's the door being used as a table. And there's like a quick shot. They don't even linger on it, but you see it. And it is literally like a door. It's on some I don't know, whatever it was on. But I think had you not gotten a quick glimpse of the bar, it wouldn't have been as funny. But if they had if you didn't get a glimpse, or if they lingered on it, it wouldn't have been as funny. But the fact that it's like a quick glimpse, and if you're looking for it, you'd be like, that's a fucking door. That makes it funny, because you wouldn't have noticed it otherwise. And then my favorite line of the episode, which I had to pause it because I was laughing pretty hard for a minute. It's when Oliver is telling Charles about all the people who have different tails, and Charles is like, what's my tail? He's like, your tail is that you don't have a tail. You're just as uncomfortable as you look. Oh man, you're just as uncomfortable as you look was just I don't know. I love everything about that sentence. But like I said, great episode. I've laid out what I feel like we've learned this week, clues that we can use to try to guess the killer, and all my favorite moments. And I will see you guys next week for episode 6. And until then, peace.